Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jolera interview series. I'm your host, Paolo, Nibletto, the Chief Channel Business for Jolera. This series features prominent executives from the IT industry talking about technology, innovation, leadership, and the marketplace. And dare I say it, I don't think there's one bigger influencer in this marketplace than the chip-making giant Intel. And joining us today is Denis Gaudreault, the country manager of Intel of Canada Limited. Denis will be starting his 5th year as the leader of Intel Canada this September. And as country manager for Intel Canada, Denis works along with his team to define the go-to-market strategy, drive revenue, of course, increase awareness of Intel across the country. Denis, thank you very much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Paolo. Really appreciate it. So I'm super excited about this webcast. Yes.
Fantastic. So let me ask you, most people, whether they're in IT or not in IT, they know about Intel because of its microprocessors. But how would you go about describing Intel today and what the company focuses on?
Yeah, so as you know, we're more than a 50 years old company, and we went through a different stage in our evolution. So people know us as be a PC company who building microprocessor for a personal computer, right? So, but in our evolution, we're seeing ourselves more as a data-centric company, right? Building technologies from end to end, from edge device to everything to compute, storage, the network, back to the data center. So really the full spectrum at the foundation of the transformation that we see right now.
Now, there are several new waves of innovation hitting the marketplace, with like artificial intelligence, the Internet of Things. 5G is really on a hype train these days. Where is Intel on these new waves, and have you had to shift your strategy at all to address these new opportunities?
Absolutely. So that's a key element of our strategy, really, to capture and be leading on those big transformational technology that we're seeing right now. So you mentioned a few of them, right? AI, the 5G, and edge computing, so IoT. So we're really transforming our strategy around that, making sure that we're infusing our solution or technology or product with all the instructions, specific silicon needed for that transformation, right? So, and we can go a bit later, maybe specifically to each of them, what we're doing, but it's for sure, it's a key element for us to really.
So I have a two-part question for you. Number one, how has Intel dealt with the COVID-19 lockdown and the subsequent reopening? And part two, how has what has transpired during the COVID-19 pandemic and lockdown and all the trends that have emerged from this time, and how has it impacted digital transformation overall?
Very good question. So let me address the first part. So how we cope and deal with the transformation. So as any other organization, right? So we had a big hit with the pandemic. So as a more than 100,000 employee worldwide, right? Operating in 56 countries. Few of us were already working from home, but the bulk of the organization was not working from home. We have factories, we have plants, we have big office all over the place. So super quickly, as any other organization, we had to make sure first all people were safe and secure, right? That was the big things. And after that, to do everything we can to not disrupt the business, that our customer can keep their product and everything. So basically, within a few weeks, everybody was working from home pretty much. So just the minimum or the super critical staff were in the factory. And as you know, so we were lucky because when you build microprocessor, there's not much people involved in the process, right? So it's always all automated robots and super clean room. So that part was easy. But like anybody else, we have to transform ourselves. We have to make sure everybody work from home. All the tools were in place, increase our network, or VPNs, everything. But the Intel IT team did a super great job. So and right now we're full speed. Everybody's working from home and is going great. So that's from an Intel point of view, right? So if we look from a market point of view, what we have seen. So for sure we see. And we don't have a crystal ball, right? So, but what we're observing for sure is the pandemic, the COVID-19 kind of accelerate the perception, I would say, or the realization, I should say, of the digital transformation that need to happen. So we're on our way as an industry, as Intel, we're already advocating for that big time, right? That's what we're pushing organizations to do, especially in Canada. But people really realize now, oh my God, so that's critical for my organization. And we have seen some behavior that were happening already, but we see an acceleration in that, like the click and buy and go pick up at the store, right? Some people were reluctant to buy online. Now everybody knows, you know what, another choice. Same thing working from home. Many organizations were reluctant to have their employee work from home, but now because they have the choice, they see, you know what, there's no way we're going to go back like we were before. So maybe we'll share office space and something like that. So same thing with telehealth, learning from home, education. So we see a massive acceleration of the digital transformation that will be needed, right? At every level of the organization, not just only how you operate, how you grow, and how you transform organizations. That was a big thing that we have seen right now.
So Intel has always supported the channel and the channel partners in Canada. How have you seen it played out with digital transformation with this group?
Yeah, so absolutely. So as you know, our go-to-market strategy is mostly through partners, right? And the channel is a big part of that. So, and what we have done, we have provided critical programs to help us go through that, because at first we have seen slowness in the business, right? Because people don't know what was going on. So we have different programs to help them with their terms, with the distribution and things like that, to really help them. And after that, we quickly accelerate to help them, to help their customers to cope and capitalize on the pandemic, right? So to help them to enable their customer to work from home, whether it's from a technology point of view or sharing what Intel has been doing, what they should be doing with their customer, to enable them to making sure they help their customer to be up and running as fast as they can. And phase two will be, okay, as we see that as a big opportunity, things will accelerate when people, the business is secure, people is secure. So what they have to do to capitalize on that, right? So to that big move of digital transformation.
Denis, as a leader in this industry, I want to get your insight on this transition. How do you see the as a service market developing from your point of view?
Yeah, so there's a big shift, right, on as a service. And I think what we have seen with the pandemic will just accelerate that shift, because with the as a service, as you know, so it kind of save you on capital investment and help you to have more agility and flexibility. And the people who were really toward that route already, so we're able to, within the pandemic, to have more flexibility, right? And better, I would say, react to what happened, because you don't have to procure everything. So I think what we're seeing right now will accelerate that shift toward as a service, whether it's hardware, infrastructures, whatever it is, software. And probably also at one point we may see a shift to like those device as a service, right? Also from an end user point of view on device. And I think even on the consumer point of view, and also from an enterprise point of view, I think that will accelerate that shift to everything as a service.
Great. Let me take you back a bit on COVID-19 as a leader. So the lockdown was roughly over 100 days. In that time, did you see any sort of unique business strategies or maybe some lessons learned during the lockdown period?
That's a good question. So what I've seen is, I would say people, I was amazed on how quickly people adapt to their transformation. And I'm referring inside Intel, but also outside Intel, what I've seen with customers. So because at first people were kind of, I won't say pushing back, but they were like, you know what, that won't last for just that won't last. That will be just for a few weeks, right? But when people realize that, you know what, we're in for, we don't know, God know, right, when we're going to be out of that, right? So, and say, you know what, let's go all for it. So people were really open, I would say, to have more virtual interaction, having what we're having right now, whether it's on Zoom, on Team, on WebEx, so different communication, where people were pushing back on that before. So now people really embrace that and switching super quickly customer engagement events that we're doing face to face and doing it like virtually. And all the, I would say, out of the office hour things we used to do. Like you have to have an happy hour with your team. So we have seen like at Intel doing happy hours, having a glass of wine, a beer with my team and chit-chatting like we were doing before at the office, or even with customers, having quiz or like a bunch of things that to keep that spirit, right? So among the team and with the customers, or ordering like a Uber Eat and delivering, creating new experience, right? So I think we're still learning on that front. So, but I feel that people, when they realize and accept what was going on, people were really transforming. So how they do business.
That's really cool, Denis. You know, one of the areas that you particularly are very passionate about is people and people in your organization. You know, in this unprecedented time in history that has led to a lot of uncertainty and stress that you talked about, how have you specifically at Intel Canada done to address this?
Yeah, so thanks for asking that question, because to me that's my passion number one, people development, and it's super important for organization, right? We know we talk about technology transformation and digital transformation, but at the end, all of that is done by the people, right? And in that moment where things are going super quickly, so I think people that they become really lifelong learners and they develop themselves is super important. So at Intel, one thing we did, we really, I would say, we doubled down on, on the number of trainings and speed that we're doing to people to really that develop themselves even more. And one way we really look at it, and especially here in Canada, we ask our people to say they all have like to build a career plan and everything inside the organization, right? And in that plan, when they look at the things that they want to develop, because that's super important for Intel, when we look how we compensate people, not just their performance, whatever the metric they have, but the development piece is as important as the result they're bringing back to the organization. So we're really pushing people to develop themselves. And the angle we use is to look at people, develop skills and ability that will be good for their career, what they want to do next, right? Whatever is staying on their role, the market is evolving, they need to evolve, or changing to a new role, right? What are the skills? But also look, those skills are good for Intel, for the organization you are in, because we need to increase our organization capability, right? And the third angle we always ask them to look is this something that has value in the market as an individual? You're improving yourself, right? So not just for your role, for Intel, but for the broad market that you're serving in, so that you're becoming way better and you're a great asset for you, for your team, and the overall industry.
So, Denis, earlier in the interview, you said you didn't have a crystal ball, but you know, if you did have a crystal ball, how do you think the people that you've personally mentored during this time, especially young professionals, will look back at this time, let's say maybe 10, 20 years from now, and what do you think they'll say?
So I think they'll say that was a big breakaway moment. So where some organizations that were agile, whatever the size, right? Because I can give you a ton of example. I'm sure you have a ton of example of organizations that were able to capitalize on what happened and make more money and new customers than before, where others were completely frozen and were struggling, right? I think they will look at it as a big breakaway moment, where a pivotal moment that really accelerate that digital transformation that we have been looking and trying to get in the head of people, right? Because like you have seen stuff like my parents, they're in their 80s, they were not buying anything on the web, right? Nothing. But guess what? They didn't have the choice, right? So now it's common for them. So yeah, I think they will look at it, and as in our short history, I would say, if you look at the different industrial revolution and transformation we have seen, right? From the steam engine to the electricity to the computers and where we are today, just at the beginning of that new revolution, I think that will be seen as a pivotal moment in that. And it will shake. I still think we'll see even more transformation that we think we're seeing right now, coming out of that.
Okay, so I have a leadership question to end things off. As a leader, how do you personally handle times of crisis like this current pandemic?
And that's a very good question. So I'm super disciplined on my scheduling and my agenda. So basically, I will make sure that because I'm almost on the phone my entire day, right? So talking with people and customer and everything. So I will. I'm an early bird, so I rise very early, but I go to bed very early, right? So, but I will do my things, my personal stuff. I have my own personal routine, right? Whether it's trainings, rating stuff for me, because I need to take care of me before taking care of all the other people, right? So I want to be at my best. I'll do that super early in the morning when I'm not disturbed and I can concentrate on that, like from let's say 5:30 to 7:30, something like that. And after that, I will just roll my day. But one thing I changed because I feel we have way more calls and video interaction than before. So because we don't have those face-to-face, moving in your car to go to another place. So I shorten my mini meetings. Instead of be a 30-minute, I'll just a 25-minute or 20 minutes. Or an hour, I'll just do 45 minutes. That I have a bit more time. If I go walk a little bit, grab a drink or something like that. So, and that's something I've seen across the board, not just in Intel, but also with some customer people trying to have, because you have more disruption at home. So, and people have been very good, honestly, to understand that when you're on a call, there's 20 people on the call that, hey, kids may come and something like where before was like, oh my God, what? That's not professional. Right now it's like, hey, no big deal. It's kind of part of the thing, right? So, yeah, so I'll try to balance myself as much as I can. So, yeah.
Anything else you want to add, Denis?
No, so basically, thank you so much for your time. And the only thing I can add, so is basically Intel, we're really at the foundation of the transformation that we're seeing, and we're really, I think, super well positioned, and we're gladly and we're super happy to have our ecosystem, all our partners, to continue to work with us, our end customers, and we have great things in front of us, and Intel will be part of all of that, and be safe and be a lifelong learner, basically.
Great. Well, thank you, Denis, for your time today. Really insightful. Where can people find you, either on social media or online?
Oh, they can find me on LinkedIn. So the Denis Gaudreault, Gaudreault, and that's the best place. And I'll pretty much can interact with most people there. So.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much. The country manager of Intel Canada, Denis Gaudreault. I'm Paolo Nibletto saying so long for now from the Jolera interview series.